And screw the tan lines, screw the beautiful sunshine, and screw it all. We're here for a reason, and we're here for a purpose. And so I hope you enjoy the podcast. Recoding. Hello, everybody. We're so happy that you're here with us today. Today is one of those episodes where, in order to get here, we've had to navigate our emotions, our feelings, and our logistics. The interesting part of it all is that we have created new segments that are going to talk about what's going on energetically, planetary wise, world wise, whatever, life wise with astrology. And we can make sense of what's happening energetically, at least. But all of those things happen to us and we navigate. We go through those things. We roll with the punches, but we hadn't had a time where we were like, oh, we have to do this. We said we're going to do this because we're changing schedules. We're making schedules work. Things have changed. People have got married. People have new jobs. People have new activities. People do things. And we're all in that. And we're trying to figure out, well, the schedule will work for me this way. It'll work for me this way. It won't work for me this way. And today that we're recording is a Sunday in the middle of the day. It's a beautiful day. And if you're in a place of the world that has seasons, you will know that beautiful summer days during a weekend don't happen that often, because usually what happens, and I think that's God's very, very ironic sense of humor, we have beautiful weather during the week when everybody's working, and then the weekends it rains or something happens, right? It's usually that way. In Cancun, it used to be that way. I used to live in Cancun, and it used to be that the summers when the weather was beautiful during the week, and then on the weekend, it was just sucky weather. So for us to have a beautiful Sunday when you have your family around you and to have a good time, it's hard. So today is a beautiful day. And we were all like, I've been waiting all day for this thing. And I'm like, I feel like I'm wasting my time before. So I'm feeling like I'm wasting time because I don't want to start my project that I need to start today because I didn't want to leave it halfway done. And so the great thing is that we have created such a safe space for ourselves that we feel so free to express ourselves and say, I'm not happy. I'm feeling like this podcast is a burden today for the first time ever in 7 months or 8 months, right? And it's like, today it's a burden. Wow. Okay, so what are we going to do for it not to be a burden and to be what we said it would be? But because we've set this container of safety, we were able to come in, talk about it, and now we're able to do this recording in full integrity because we have our priorities straight. And because it's not about us, it's not about our feelings, it's not about our emotions, it's about emotional intelligence, it's about keeping our word and showing up when you say you're going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I think what was important too, though, was like I was able to just immediately tell you guys how I was feeling and not feel like, because for me, I've never felt like, oh, this is something I have to do. And today I was like, I just want to get this over with, right? And I'm like, oh, that's not a good way to feel. And for me, because we have such a safe space we've created and such a good relationship, I was able to say that and not feel like, okay, like they're gonna be upset or mad or like only to find out you were all feeling the same way, right? And it's like, how many times do people do that in life, where if they just said how they were thinking and feeling, then things would be like corrected so quickly, like instead of like harboring resentment and coming on here like it was so silly. We've decided now Sundays don't work for us, but it's also being able to look and say, hey, we tried this, we thought it would work, we don't like it, and now we can change it so that it feels good for all of us, so that we don't feel like this has ever, I never want this to ever feel like it's a burden or something that I have to do. This is something we're doing because we want to do it, and we have such a passion behind why we're doing this. And I never want to lose that. And I'm very I feel grateful that I'm able to vocalize if it's ever starting to shift away from that, and that I can just say like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. How are you guys feeling? Right? Like, can we pick different days? Is there other days that will work? And only to find out that, yeah, let's pick a different day, because none of us like this.
And we never will, and I think I can speak for the three of us, we will never show up here. I mean, I'd rather not have an episode, not drop an episode.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Than show up here half invested in it.
Yeah.
Or feeling like I don't want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Like at one point when we started talking, I was like, I'm seeing myself recording this on Tuesday night and editing all night, because I'm not at the point where I can show up authentically without showing up mad. I don't want to show up.
Right. It's true. I think that's a good point. Yes, we are here. Like we met today because that's where the integrity came in. But also the integrity comes in, to your point, if we were still in that energy, we wouldn't have recorded. We would have been like, okay, we'll wait for another day. We'll decide on a different topic. We'll figure it out. Right. But because we're able to just share and like work through things, it's like it wasn't an issue anymore. And it's like the fact, it just shows you the things that we're doing, how valuable they are, because when we talk through things, and we're all of a sudden Hannah's like, let's record, we need to record, because we knew, okay, we're in this now. Like I was excited to be on this call, as opposed to an hour ago thinking, oh, I just want to get this, like, let's just do this. Said we were going to do, right? And what a quick way to shift something.
It's so amazing, right?
You know, the vulnerability it took to not only express what you were feeling, but to also express how you desire to be feeling. You know, that is huge, because a lot of times we have these ideas of what we want, but we don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
We just go along with what they're doing, or, you know, just go with the motions of what's happening. And in the conversation that we were having, it became very clear that, well, wow, we're all kind of feeling very similar. And then we started talking about how we desired to move forward. And it just shifted that energy so beautifully. It's like, we need to record this. And now we're just all like, let's do it.
But see, here's the thing. Here's a clue for everybody else. The reason we were able to shift so quickly is because our mission, we have such clarity in what we're doing here. And we have such clarity in the relationship that we have to each other. And the three of us have been creating and building this space where the most important thing is for us to feel safe and cared for. That when you have your values, your principles, your mission intact in such clear way that we're all on the same page, then our feelings, our emotions, our mind chatter, right? Because every time that mind chatter is going to try and get in the way, right? So that all goes away because we can just lean on our principles and our core values and our mission. And then how you feel doesn't matter. And then what happens is how you feel immediately switches over and aligns to your principles again. We get back into alignment. And that's so easy to do when you are so clear in what you're meant to do. And that's what 99% of the people do not have. People do not have the clarity. People have not sat down 5 minutes to think, what do I want? What do I want to create in my life? How do I want my life to be? How do I want to feel throughout my life? And when it doesn't feel good, we say, hey, hello, I'm not feeling good over here. What can we do? Something's off. Something is out of alignment. And the not feeling good is a very big alarm that we tend to like press the snooze button, and we keep feeling badly trying to appease everybody else. And what's to Stasia's point, one of the things that I found out is that every single time I've expressed how I'm feeling without fear of being judged or maybe a little apprehension, but I'm like, courage is rare these days, right? So we're building up our courage to just speak up no matter what and to be true to ourselves. So when you're true to yourself and you say, something's not feeling good here, chances are the people around you are going to be feeling exactly the same thing. But nobody wants to be the first to speak. But when we understand that when we address our feelings and our emotions and we get back into alignment, we're not creating a problem, we're becoming a part of the solution or calling forth a better way to work. And we've made it that if one of us is not happy, none of us are happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're either all happy and on board, or that's it. You know, and until we get in that frame of mind and back into that alignment, we don't continue on. We don't keep going.
Exactly. Yeah.
But now it's gotten faster and faster.
So fast. Yeah.
Right.
When we were talking, Stacia, and maybe this was a perfect time for your segment or astrology forecast, because you're like, well, this all makes sense because.
Oh my goodness, ladies. So much has been happening this month. You know, I obviously I follow astrology. You know, it's something that people have tapped into for thousands of years, and for good reason. Because when you really look at it, the sun is kind of this energy of what we put out there that people see. But the moon is this energy of, you know, our emotions and our feelings that we sometimes we like to keep that back. We like to hide. So that being said, there's just been so much going on, you know, like these aspects that are really influencing this dance of the self that we present and the self that we keep inside, so to speak. And last week we had the North Node for time purposes.
Yeah.
The moon has some nodes on it, a North Node and a South Node. The North Node is always where you're like who you're growing into, who you're becoming. And the South Node is like who you've been. And with the shift that it made, it moved into Aries. And then so the North Node moved into Aries, and it's all about prioritizing yourself and really trusting in how you feel and having courage. So I love that you even brought that up. Where the South Node, Hannah, you said this, the South Node is more of a karmic, it's more challenges that were given in this lifetime. And it moved into Libra. And with this being in Libra, it's kind of bringing out these people pleasing tendencies that we tend to, you know, have throughout our lives, and really kind of releasing that energy so that we can move forward in a more aligned way with how we want to feel. That being said, sometimes people don't understand that they're feeling all of these all of these emotions because they are still doing things that are not in alignment with who they are. So, we also have Venus in retrograde, which really ultimately affects like everything around you. It's not only is it love and abundance, but it's, forgiving the past, in this retrograde energy, and forgiving yourself for making mistakes. But also it's bringing out these experiences that we have to then decide that we want to learn from, or we're going to get stuck in them. And I find that that's what a lot of people are dealing with right now, is they've created this narrative of what has happened, and they've decided that that's who they are, instead of realizing that it's not at all of who they are. It's just something that they've been through so that they can rise above it. And, with the sun entering in Leo yesterday, it's really bringing out this big energy of courage and joy, but we've got so much conflicting energy coming in around it. And the main thing that I wanted to talk about that really kind of got us in this conversation is Chiron. And I know that a lot of people, they know what, Mercury retrograde is. That's always the one that we talk about, because Mercury goes around the sun the quickest. So it's always perceived by us as looking like it's going backwards. And when this happens, it gives us this chance to pause and really sit in the energy of what this could be bringing up into our lives. So Chiron is this, it was first discovered and it was called an asteroid, like back in the 70s. And then they changed it to like a planetoid. And now I think some people just call it a comet. But it circles between Saturn and Uranus. And if you know anything about Saturn and Uranus, it's all about, it's all about learning lessons and making progress. So when this is going retrograde, Chiron's called the wounded healer. And I find it really, really interesting that the day that we wanted to record, or we wanted to have this meeting, but then it turned into recording, it's like, oh, so now this comet has decided to turn retrograde. And so with it, it starts to bring with it these feelings and maybe even wounds and pains that we've been holding on to that we're not really sure what to do with. And, it's really helping us to move through this energy. But at the same time, we're having like family situations, family traumas, anger, grief, like all of these things are stirring up, as well as everything else that's happening. And it gets really easy to get lost into well, I don't like this, and I'm not going to say anything about it because I'm still in my people pleasing mode. And, like, it's just when you start uncovering the potentials that are out there, because, I really look at the energy, like the astrological energy that's around us, as really, we're part of the universe. We have all of this within us. And so when things are changing, it's an opportunity for us to change. It's an opportunity for us to shed light on something that maybe we didn't want to look at, something that we thought we left behind, but all of a sudden it's coming back, and here it is again, and we don't know how to deal with it. So we also have a first quarter moon coming in, which is always going to bring in a lot of really wonky energy with it, because the sun and the moon are in the squaring energy. They're not getting along with each other. And, there's just so much that's happening. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to help make sense of some of these things, like some of these things that we're feeling, but we're really wanting to express to you how important it is to not only feel those feelings, sometimes you need to vocalize and let people know around you, what's going on, so that you don't end up falling into that story of, this is the narrative that I created and I am my problem, instead of, you know what, I've had some issues and I really want to forgive and move forward, and just really lighten that energy that you're carrying with you. Because whether you know it or not, everything that happens to us is really, it's really staying in your energy field, and trying to just sweep the rug, sweep it under the rug it's only going to get you so far before, your rug explodes and you're covered in a whole bunch of mess that you don't want to be
So-
in. So it's just things like that that we really need to take into account when, when you're feeling a little out of alignment, really allowing yourself that space to just tap into, how are you feeling? How do you want to be feeling? And really give yourself that container to really come up with an idea, or listen to our podcast and just come up with, ways that are going to help you, because we're all so different. Our astrology is so different. Wherever you were born in time and space is going to look different for everyone. And it's really working with what you have, and never letting you, never thinking that it's something that's holding you back, but it's just something that's there to help you to really grow and, really take off and learn what we came here to do. And, until we can shed this, we're not going to be, on our soul's purpose. We're going to be missing our soul's mission. And I believe that is literally living your best life. And then everything just unfolds from there. So
I'm going to piggyback off that and lead into my segment, which is the business success playbook. Because a couple things you said stood out to me that relate to business. And if you're going along, if you're listening to this and you're like, business is great, wonderful, keep on trucking. But I want to speak to the people who either they have a business and maybe they're feeling stuck, or they're feeling like maybe either your business is becoming a burden, or things around you, or you feel like you're being stretched in all directions, or those who haven't even started their business yet because you're probably, not taking that leap that you need to do. I want to speak to you because the word that's been coming up is courage. And that is one of the biggest things that I think we need, whether we are in that mode of like feeling stuck, pivoting, whatever it is within our business, or just getting started. And for me, one of the things I brought up to the ladies was like, if I'm starting to feel like any part of me is being forgotten about, or I'm not putting enough energy into, or I'm not making it a priority, that's when I really check in with myself. And fortunately, like in this situation, both you ladies, I can say things to you and know, okay, we're gonna navigate through this. But if you're listening, it might be harder. It might be like you have a 9 to 5 and you're trying to fit your business in, and it's really hard, and you're wanting to work on after work, but maybe you have children and your husband isn't completely on board, and you need to have that conversation with them. Maybe it's being able to leave early one day a week, and you have to talk to your boss about that, right? Like, it's those big conversations that you need to pause and say, what is important to me? And do I want to stay stuck in this energy? Yes, we're in that right now with the astrology stuff, but that can linger then, right? If we're not looking at that now and making things a priority, that can just stay that way. And then we're going to feel so disappointed in ourselves in a year from now, 6 months from now, when we're like, oh man, if I would have just said something, or if I would have just brought it up. It happened in my own relationship. And I was like, I left something so long to bring up, and I brought it up like not long ago, and it was like, oh yeah, that's no problem. We can do that. I was like, okay, if I would have, and it was like, if I would have just brought it up sooner, I wouldn't have been like in this situation for as long as I did. So it's a big lesson. And for me to be able to come on today and just say it, it was like, I don't like want to hold my tongue when something doesn't feel good, because I don't want to be in that situation in 6 months and I'm looking back and we all find out, oh, we could have just said something to each other. So I really, my tip for you, everybody, today is like, go and have those conversations. Look at what you want to prioritize. If it's so important to you and it keeps nagging at you and you're like, oh man, I wish I could be doing this, but I'm doing that. Really look at it and decide, like, maybe you're going to cut down your hours at work. Maybe you're going to have that conversation with your spouse. Hey, can you take the kids to the park for an hour so I can work on my business, record a podcast episode, have a meeting with a VA, like whatever it is you need to do to get your business going or get it back on track, so that you can just have a thriving business that you like. That's why we get into this. We want to feel passionate. We want to feel like we can, do what we love and not feel like we ever have to put on the back burner. It's anything around us ever becomes a burden. I'm sure you don't want your children being a burden, your spouse being a burden, your whatever else you have going on a burden. And if ever it's feeling like that, that's check-in time. It's like, okay, what can I do to shift this and fit this in so it feels really good for me if it's important, right? That's also a time to be like, okay, do I want to make this a priority? And I'm assuming that anyone who's going through that is like, okay, this is something I want to do. Now, how can I course correct? And then it's about being brave, right? Having those conversations and not being afraid what the person's going to say back. And even if it brings up a discussion or someone says, well, I don't like this or I don't like that, it's like, okay, good, let's talk about it. Let's figure out what's bugging people and like what we can do to make it better. Because why stay in that energy and then you're never gonna shift? Station quote of the day.
Yeah. So I had a quote, and then I wasn't feeling the best. And I just kind of did this eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Who is this? And I found this gentleman named Elbert Hubbard. In fact, he's from my area. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. Another fact, he's born on my birthday, or I'm born on his birthday. But he was born in 1856.
Oh,
So,
wow.
right? Like, well, this is very interesting.
Yeah.
So, this is what he had to say. It does not take much strength to do things, but it requires a great deal of strength to decide what to do. That is just so fitting for
So
everything,
true.
I have like goosebumps from that.
right?
Oh,
Right? You know, even getting
How
like
much
the energy.
energy.
Yeah, the energy that we were in. You decide, you want to stay there or do you want to explore it and move forward?
yeah.
It's just everything. Everything is energy, and we have so much more control over that than we give ourselves credit for. So I really hope that people are able to pick that up with how we are doing things and, you know, really ripple that out for everyone else. So.
Now we're introducing a brand new, never before seen segment. So I'm going to guide you on a very quick grounding exercise. We're not gonna go into the meditation. Meditation is going to be just one episode on its own where we're going to talk about what it takes and what it doesn't take to meditate. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to ground ourselves in a place where we can literally be anchored in, choose what and how we want to feel, and then make our decisions from that space. So if you would please place your feet flat on the ground. If you can sit or lie down. It's preferable to sit upright with your back against a backrest to keep it straight. And just go ahead and close your eyes and inhale through your nose. And then let the air escape through your mouth like a big sigh. And every time you sigh and exhale, you're letting go of any anger, any resentment, any feelings of disharmony in your body. So do that 3 times. You can do it 3, 6, or 9 times. And letting it all go. Notice if there's any tension in your body. Do it one more time. Notice if your shoulders are tight, your stomach is tight, your throat is tight. Your gut, are you clenching your gut and holding everything in? Or even your brain, are you overthinking, overanalyzing? The brain is a muscle, so decide to just release it. A very quick way to do it is put your hand into a fist. Imagine that that's your brain tightening up, and tighten that fist, tighten it, tighten it, tighten it. And then let it go. Open your fingers and open your hands and notice how you've connected it to your brain, and your brain is going to automatically relax. And you'll feel the release in your brain as you do that. Now imagine that you are sending all of your energy down into the center of the earth, and you are tapping into the crystalline grid. That is, you can imagine that all the crystals that are contained within the earth have this beautiful energy, these beautiful colors. So you can pick a crystal, an amethyst, a simple, well, we call it a simple, but not a simple, any kind of white crystal, a pink crystal, any kind of quartz, right? That will help you anchor your energies, much like a tree with their roots. So sending all that energy down, you're going to start to feel a little heavy on the lower part of yourself. That is you anchoring yourself. Now you're going to imagine going through your crown up into the universe, opening up that crown on your head and going upwards, taking your imagination and your being upwards until that point where you feel that there's absolute silence and absolute peace. Going up, 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 up. You haven't found that point, keep going higher and higher and higher. Takes a little bit of courage at the beginning. We've had this word come up and up again over and over in this episode. So courage is the word of the day, right? So go up, keep going until you find that spot. Then allow that peace, that silence to just pour into your body through your crown from this beautiful place far away. Feel it coming into your body and creating a magical dance between the energy, the grounding energy of the crystals, and the lightness of being from this peace and silence, this cosmic energy. Now tap into your physical heart, take your attention there, and start feeling the love in your heart. Feel it pouring out of your heart and blending and dancing with these cosmic terrestrial energies within. Now imagine them coiling up around your spine. Creating a rod. Feel the strength within. Now put a little smirk or a smile on your face. You can always tap into this inner strength that has now been established within you. Now you're going to close your body up, closing that crown, holding those energies within. And wiggle your toes, feeling your hands, do a little shake. Take one last cleansing breath and let it all go. And open your eyes.
Wow, that was beautiful. Absolutely
Well,
beautiful.
I love you, ladies.
Love
I'm
you.
so glad we're here
Me too.
because we want to be.
Yes. Yes. I am very, oh, and it was 444 when you said that. That was beautiful. Um, yeah, just what a wonderful way to close out the podcast. So Thank you, everybody, for being here. We hope you enjoyed our new segments. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let us know. Something you can do if you watch the episode, you can screenshot and share it and tag us on Instagram at Recoded Podcast. Check out our Instagram page. It's getting a major up level.
Yes.
And yeah, thank you all for being here, and we'll see you next week.
Recoded.